Hello, good evening. It's News 360 coming to you live from the News Hub here at Adesawe Kanda. I am Portia Gabo.
And I am Martin Esiedudate. The headlines for this evening.
News 360 Headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint
and Napa Foods, Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Coil.
Tonight, Parliament passes Criminal Offences Amendment Act 2022, which seeks to abolish the death penalty.
Anti-graft campaigners advocate expeditious passage of Public Officers Code of Conduct Bill following former Sanitation Minister Cecilia Dapa's stashed cash at her residence.
And later in the bulletin, police launch investigation into assault case at Adisadel College in Cape Coast.
In business news, only 6 companies listed on Ghana alternative markets after 10 years of establishment.
And on the international front, new malaria vaccine gets green light in Burkina Faso.
We have details of these stories and many more coming up shortly. Do stay with us.
All right, so we delve straight into our first story where anti-graft campaigners are advocating for the need to have government expeditiously pass the Public Officers Code of Conduct Bill following revelations more cash was found at the residence of the former Sanitation Minister Cecilia Dapa. The special prosecutor is continuing investigations after a search was conducted in her house last night.
The details of the ongoing investigation by the Office of the Special Prosecutor into former Sanitation Minister Cecilia Dapa officially started yesterday, but the details already make for interesting conversations. Thorough searches were conducted at the cantonment and Abilinkpe residence of the former minister, according to sources, have revealed substantial findings. Cecilia Dapa was granted bail with one surety in the late hours of Monday, with the findings at her residence making it difficult for the bail to be agreed upon. Co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption, Edem Senanu, argues the revelations in the ongoing investigations makes it imperative for the Public Officers Code of Conduct to be passed.
I think that this highlights for us the importance of passing the Public Officers Code of Conduct Bill. All of us, media, civil society, need to demand that this that has been sitting before Cabinet should be passed urgently.
Private legal practitioner Martin Pebu believes asset declaration by political actors must be public document to further safeguard against corruption.
Absolutely, there is no two ways about it. Every serious anti-corruption crusader supports this point. And Martin, let's remind ourselves, even during the PNDC era, they used to publish these assets, showing PNDC appointees who publish their assets. I don't know, the various reasons have been given to how we came into a constitutional dispensation and then allowed these declarations to be made secret.
The minister is expected to fill out a declaration of lifestyle audit form. The form essentially will help determine the source of funds which went missing at her residence. The family and close relatives of Madame Dapa also are undergoing questioning as investigations by the OSP continue. With all the talk of the quoted foreign currencies, the governor of the Bank of Ghana says the hoarding of such forex is worrying.
We are all worried, but really, this is a matter that is still unfolding and involving the court, so there's not much that one can say.
The minister, within the court of public opinion, currently stands accused of hoarding money which has been stolen by 2 of her house helps.
And this particular subject is still unfolding as the days wear on. Let's go to Zoom now and speak to private legal practitioner Justice Abdullah, who's joined us this evening. Justice, good evening and thank you for your time.
Good evening.
First of all, we know that...
Thank you for having me.
Right, thanks for joining us. What are your thoughts on this issue or this particular issue called the Conduct of Public Officers law, which we are told is currently yet to be passed? We are told that if it is passed or approved, it is going to scrutinize further how public officers conduct themselves. Is that going to be helpful in ensuring that we cut down on how these officers carry themselves?
Indeed, that is not in doubt. That is supposed to further ensure that corruption-related activities are checked, particularly in regard to public officers. But my view has always been that our asset declaration regime is the way to go. We can retool it to make it better. I have recommended severally that we have a periodic review. Rather than waiting for 4-year review, we should have a yearly review of the asset declaration regime. We should ensure that the assets are traceable. They should be open document.
We seem to be having a slight connection challenge there to Justice Abdullah, who was sharing his thoughts on the lifestyle audit, which we're told that is currently under consideration, and what that would mean, especially in our fight against corruption generally. Also, it ties into the asset declaration law, where some are calling for it to be made public even before these officers take office. So I'm sure that we have a more stable connection to Justice Abdullah now. Justice, you were making a point there.
Yeah, so I was saying that if we retool our asset declaration regime, we can have a better outcome by way of checking on the excesses of our public service whilst waiting for the bill to be passed. And this is very easy. For instance, Martin has made indeed a point of having the asset declaration regime made public, the declared assets made public. And I have insisted that it is not the sole means of checking this. We should also ensure that the assets that are declared should be devoid of futuristic assets, so that people who have dreams of acquiring property in future would insert all these property in their declared assets, and also ensure that assets that are in the names of family and friends are all checked. So the immediate family of public servants should be made to declare their assets as well, because most of the time what you find is that these assets are either bought in the name of children, spouses, girlfriends, and other family members, brothers and sisters. And so once you become a public officer, my recommendation has always been that we should ensure that not only should the person occupying that office declare his assets, but his immediate family members should also declare their assets, so that in case, in fact, similar to what we are witnessing today with respect to the Cecilia Dapaes and family members who are being investigated in reference to what is ongoing at the moment. So once we have that, and we also ensure that first, the 4-year tenure of renewal should rather be made yearly. So every year, we should audit the lifestyle of these persons. Because truth is that this is what happens. Within the space of 4 years, people can acquire assets, re-engineer these assets, and change the entire face and indeed the nature of the assets, such that you may never be able to trace the asset to the original one that was acquired. If it is about money, if the person would really want to squander it, he would have squandered the money within the space of 4 years. And so when a person would have actually made 10 billion corrupt money and would be able to use this entire money before the 4-year tenure for him to declare that. So between the time that he acquired this asset and the time that he declares, he probably will be a man of straw. When in actual fact, within that period, he was a billionaire within that period. And so if you want to wait for 4 years, you probably would be waiting for nothing.
Okay.
Even the 1 year sometimes I feel is too long, but at least it's reasonable considering that these are public officers who are also busy and doing other things. So a continuous and periodic review of the regime would be the best way to go at this moment. But of course, remember, that is only in respect of the asset declaration. The reason why the Public Officers Code of Conduct Bill is important is also to ensure that we are able to trace conflict of interest scenarios and then be able to bring them to book. So it goes further to expand on the realm of corruption and other related offenses within that space. But the asset declaration is the tool to go at this very moment, as long as we wait for the Public Code of Conduct bill to be passed.
All right. Justice Abdullah, thank you so much for your time this evening. He is a private legal practitioner. Meanwhile, the Attorney General, Godfred Yeboah Dame, is expected to issue an advice on the Cecilia Dapaah saga. This is because the Ghana Police Service has forwarded its docket on the theft case to the Attorney General. Deputy Attorney General Alfred Tia Yeboah says that the AG's advice will focus solely on the theft case reported by the former minister and her husband.
Now, there's no person who is politically exposed who has been arrested and being prosecuted in this particular matter, if anything at all. There is someone who may be politically exposed who is rather the complainant. So the attorney is going to review the docket to see whether there's any basis for the prosecution or to see whether more charges or some of the charges may have to be taken from what we have now. So depending on what we have on record. So this is a situation whereby the Attorney General is going to look at a situation where someone within the government is to be prosecuted. That is not because now the other citizens who have been arrested, they are the people that we have to review the docket to see whether there's any basis to do the prosecution or and how we should do the prosecution and where we should do the prosecution. We do not know the extent of investigations done by the police in connection with the source of those amounts. But we are aware that another statutory body, the OSP, is also investigating into other matters in connection with the matter. So we will not definitely go a situation where we may want to be in conflict with the OSP. So the OSP has its mandate investigating the source of that particular money and the lifestyle audit, etc., etc. We are also looking at what the police have done so far to see whether what the police did is something that we can use in prosecuting the case or not to prosecute.
Let's now go to Parliament, where the House has passed the Criminal Offences Amendment Act 2022 in a bid to abolish the death penalty. With this amendment, the death penalty is off the Criminal Offences Code and rather gives the power to the President to commit to life imprisonment.
The question is that the Criminal Offences Amendment Bill 2022 be now read the second time. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Honourable members, the Criminal Offences Amendment Bill 2022 is duly read the third time and passed.
An act to amend the Criminal Offences Act 1960, Act 29, to substitute the penalty of life imprisonment for the death penalty and to provide for related matters.
The Criminal Offences Amendment Bill 2022 read the third time and passed.
The death penalty is no more a punishment in our statutes. That is not to say that those who take it upon themselves